Hello, there we go. Hello. Welcome to the what should be a brief stream today. I am currently listening to the feed, so I apologize if I am not super talkative immediately, but basically we have some events, some things to keep track of. Two conversations happening at the same time, so it's hard to even Courtney, thank you for the 29th. I will give a full recap once we have a moment. I just went live. The events are still happening. Very, very basics are Rachel is currently pitching to Ava to use the veto to get Morgan on the block. Now, we know that is already likely going to happen. So, unbeknownst to them, using the veto might be a huge mistake. Because Morgan is already likely going on the block. Morgan just said, I'm sorry, I know you've won before, but you'd be great on the jury. If you want to be in final three, then you can just go home then. Oh, Big Brother brain broke me because I just wrote good in my notes and then I saw the word good and I thought it said good. I was like, who got good today? Jay, thank you for the 18th. What does Rachel want? I get she wants final three, but like, geez. This is this is just not the play for Rachel. It's really not. Given what we know, it's definitely not. But even not knowing what we know, you know what? Her pitch is to use the veto on Keanu to put Morgan up. That actually does make sense. It just really doesn't make sense given what we know, which is that Zach has the power. Using the veto on Zach does not make sense. Ava wants to let Catherine make the decision. She doesn't want to push Catherine. That's good. I think Rachel wants this more than Ava. I think Rachel will cool off. I think Ava will not push. And odds are lower that this will actually happen. But Rachel will potentially push Catherine to want to use it. I'm listening to both, but Rachel Mickey is, or Morgan Mickey is not super important in comparison right now. Mickey just talked this morning about the importance of making sure that at least one of Vince or Zach goes. Talking to Catherine, but that's basically just a bouncing board for her own ideas. It sounds like she's saying something similar to Morgan right now. Morgan's taking heat from every angle. Now Mickey's chastising her for campaigning. I just think it's weird that I'm hearing about your campaign from other people and not from you. That's all I'm trying to say. Ava defending Mickey to Rachel, I think. I keep forgetting to mention Keanu's fishing thing with Mickey. Not that it matters, but he keeps talking about it. Nobody knows about Zach's power. Morgan is doing way too much, even without knowing about Zach's power. For somebody who knows that she's the next renom and a third party owns the veto, and she's talking about targeting that third party. Like, she is doing way too much right now. You should not say that she gets twist screwed if she leaves this week because of Zach's power, because very good chance it would have happened anyway. Yeah, okay. I think Ava's basically turning this down. I think Ava had a moment where she was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. But as Rachel kept pushing Keanu and Ava kept wanting Zach, she was kind of like, you know what? Maybe this is too complicated. HOH cannot refuse the 10K. Yeah, after Rachel told Catherine that Morgan was coming for her, Catherine went and stared at the memory wall. I am thinking the 19th. I think Vince versus Morgan was always going to be bad for Morgan. This definitely does not help. Sanjeko, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the Robot Army. Oh, Catherine Vinny. This outfit is so ridiculous. This is the campaign that I was waiting for today, and the events of the day have made it even more likely that it could potentially work. So even think of the 51st, because Rachel could go to Catherine and continue to push Catherine to use the veto, knowing that Morgan goes up on the block in the place of whoever she uses it on. And with the info that, hey, Morgan's coming for the showmance, if she believes it, gives her more incentive to, plus Vince campaigning. Eb, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the Robot Army. I mean, this is really the test here. The veto, he should get the veto used on him here. He really should. There are so many pieces in place. There's very few obstacles in the way of it. If Vince is as good as the edit makes him wants to make him out to be, as himself wants to make him out to be, he should get the veto used on him here. Keanu interrupts. Okay, we're away from that convo for now. Here's the quick recap. I apologize for doing this 16 minutes into the video, but if you're watching this back. But basically, Morgan talked to Zach early in the morning today. Zach said that he felt he had a good conversation with Rachel during the punishment. He feels like Rachel is potentially on board to keep him, maybe even Vince, as long as they can get Vince to get on board with not targeting Rachel. So they talked to Vince about it. Vince said, I absolutely wouldn't target Rachel if she kept me. And so Morgan came into the day prepared to potentially try to campaign for both Vince and Zach to stay in the game. She gave Mickey a heads up about it, then went to Rachel and made the pitch, saying, hey, Vinny is willing to not go after you if you are willing to keep him this week. And Rachel was essentially saying like no. And one of the things she said was that Vinny said he wants Rachel in jury. And Rachel had just been complaining to Will about this. She was like, I'm sick of these newbies. I'm sick of them saying they want me in jury. They don't understand. They have no responsibilities. I have children. And so she crashed out on Morgan. And I'll give you the full reenactment on the update tomorrow morning. But it was wild. They got into a fight. Rachel said, don't F with me. I'm tired of the disrespect. You're not going to get me in jury. If you think I'm going to go to jury, you're out of your mind. I'm going to go to the final two. I'm going to win this game. I'm a former winner. You put the crown on my name. You don't disrespect me. And Morgan is like, what? I'm not coming for you. And in that conversation, Morgan was talking about how they need targets to go after the showmance. And so immediately after the argument, Rachel went right to Kat and said, hey, Kat, hey, just so you know, Morgan said everyone's coming for the showmance. Take that for what you will. Keep that in mind. I'm with you guys. Then she ran upstairs and started pitching to Ava, we should use the veto. We should have the veto used to get Morgan up on the block. I'm done with her. And Ava initially said, yes, I've been thinking about that too. We could use it on Zach. And then Rachel was like, no, it needs to be on Keanu. Cal, thank you for the 50th. And Cyber, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the Robot Army. Of course, we know, this is what I was saying before, Zach has the power. So if they use the veto on Zach, the same thing happens. Morgan goes up on the block. Zach comes off the block. Only he doesn't need to use his power, meaning he gets to keep his power. That's bad for everyone, not Zach. And everyone that's not Zach. Also, it gets Ava doesn't get 10K. Catherine not saying anything wrong yet. Riley yet. Bach, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the Robot Army. But then Rachel, but that's still better, I think, than Keanu, than it being used on Keanu, because if Keanu comes off the block, Morgan goes up, then Zach uses his power, and now Ava's in trouble, and now all of a sudden you're in like a much worse situation. Shoes, thank you for the 45th. So Rachel keeps pushing Keanu because if they leave Keanu in the block, there's a chance that Keanu leaves over somebody like Morgan because they might not have Mickey's vote. And in the discussion between the two options, Ava kind of backed off of the idea, saying, let's let Catherine decide. Catherine now mentioned. She's just talking about votes, I think. Yeah, I mean, Catherine just wants Zach out. I don't think she's certainly not going to volunteer to use the veto on Zach. And I certainly don't think Ava would want her to use the veto on Vince, which I think would be her go-to. Well, maybe not. She was saying she would vote out Vince over Keanu. But I don't think Ava wants it used on Keanu either, to be fair. The Riley Catherine votes are very important, so this is an important talk. Riley doesn't believe it. God, listening to these two talk games is like watching children do math. Okay, here we go. He believes it now. Again, this is opening the door. I don't think they've thought of it, but if the veto is used, Morgan might go up, and that might be something they now want. He's mad at Morgan. Also, so like sad to me that he says, I'm fucking pissed now. And her instinct is at me. Okay. So again, that's an important conversation for a couple of reasons. One is that the Vinny versus Keanu vote could come down to Riley and Catherine's vote. They are torn. Catherine talked to Mickey this morning and kind of agreed that it's probably best to at least split up Vinny and Zach. So if they can't get Zach, they should get Vinny. But then she just talked to Vinny and she feels like she can get Vinny on her side. Riley said briefly, I would rather keep Vinny, but then they went back on it again, like we're not sure. Seemingly at this point, given their current feelings about Morgan, you would assume their votes for sure against Morgan. Basically, Morgan replaces Zach in their estimation, that they would vote out Morgan in any scenario. And now Rachel and Ashley are talking. Ashley shouldn't be in danger of being put up even as a fifth nom, but there haven't been any problems with her and Ava this week. It was last week, seemingly put to bed for now. Ashley trying to talk Rachel off a cliff here. Who cares what Morgan is saying? She doesn't know what's happening. Ashley's explaining to Rachel why she changed her mind about Zach versus Vince. We know this doesn't matter, likely. Catherine and Vince again. Vince is concerned that they were overheard. I mean, Rachel's in the right here. Ashley is arguing that Riley and Catherine would put up Vince. That's wrong. They would put up Zach, not Vince. They just have a wrong read of this. They just do. Both Mickey and Ashley should want Vince out over Zach for sure. We'll see if Rachel can talk sense into them. But again, it doesn't really matter because Zach is very likely coming off the block anyway. The way that Zach was so easily swayed by Rachel last night, seemingly, tells me that you remove Vince from the equation and he's kind of moldable. Maybe not quite like a Brendan, but Vince, we know, is never moldable. He will mold himself. I did not watch the Jimmy live, but I did see a clip of it. Catherine and Riley again. Riley's in a mood now, yelling at production. There it is. Catherine said, in a perfect world with no consequences, she would use the veto on Keanu and get Morgan up on the block. Riley said, don't, because I want to do it next week. But Catherine is willing. Ava is willing. Rachel wants it. A lot of pieces are there. She said no. He said use it on Vinny. She said no, use it on Keanu. 1, 2, 3, make sure one of them goes. Status quo, by the way, yeah, is still she's not using it. It's just the pieces are there. The kindling is ready. It just needs a spark. And Rachel was that spark, but she's starting to cool down. Can I ask, how do we feel about Ava's sunglasses? She wears them a lot. They're so unique. I can't tell if it's like her other unique style that I'm kind of into, or if it's like maybe not my favorite. What I will say is they probably work pretty well. You know, some sunglasses, like they're too small and like you get sun in your eyes still. That's not happening with these ones. Wicked, thank you for the 18th. Does Morgan definitely go home in Morgan versus Vince? Um, I think it looks bad. I don't think there are definites. But especially if she doesn't have Rachel, I think it's over. Hope, thank you for the 15th. But if she manages to get Rachel back against Vince, Rachel, Ashley, Mickey, Will, you need Riley, Catherine, you need Keanu, you need Kelly. It does not look good, is what I will say. It really does not look good. I think Morgan very likely leaves over Vince. Morgan versus Keanu should be the same. Morgan leaves. Catherine, Riley, very likely vote Morgan over Keanu. Kelly, and then them along with Rachel, Ashley, Will, Mickey. Like it's or no, Mickey might not, but there's plenty. There's plenty there. It would require a change, a shift. Lauren and Catherine. Lauren letting Catherine know. I don't think it's dead that the veto gets used. I think this is just further confirmation that the pieces are there. All right, I really shouldn't stream too much because we're gonna be jumping back on in a couple hours for the episode. Got to keep the stamina. Yeah, I'm also doing the podcast. That's the big thing. If I wasn't doing the podcast, I think I'd go right into the episode. jeez. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Oh, hold on, hold on. I think she's just gonna say she won't sack out. I stand on this. I think Lauren needs Vinny gone. I think as long as Vinny's in the game, Morgan will always, or sorry, Lauren will always have trouble. Like actually playing the game. Oh, Morgan Rachel again. Hold on. Dr. Will or Taylor. I think Ashley cooled Rachel down a bit. I think this is. I think this. I think they're gonna clear the air here. And I also don't want to miss the. Riley just poked his head into that conversation. Oh boy. I didn't even get to talk to Jimmy. I just can't. I just can't. This would literally be. Oh I would lose my mind. I mean, here's the thing. I would never trust Morgan in the first place. So I don't think I could. But if somebody betrayed me and then acted like they were the victim for betraying me, it's just so frustrating. Rachel's calling her out on the whole spiel. Hold on, is Mickey complaining about Morgan to Ava and Will now? It's so cathartic seeing Rachel push back against Morgan's constant complaining about how nobody talks personal with her. Morgan telling Rachel she learned about Vince's girlfriend 2.5 weeks into the game, knowing how Rachel has talked about Vince and Morgan is very funny. Why do you feel like you're crying right now? Mickey now retelling Morgan's version of the argument to Ava and Will. Mickey just crashed out over the idea of Rachel making it to Final 3. Oh my god. Ashley walks in and Mickey kicks her out. I'm trying to vent to them about something. And then Ashley goes to the Rachel Morgan conversation. Oh boy. Will drives me nuts sometimes. Just agreeing with anyone he talks to. It's just like there's no point in ever listening to a Will conversation because he has no opinion. Mickey now pushing for Keanu to be voted out. Ava preaching. Electric thing for the 22nd. Sorry, I need to be taking this down word for the update. Bro, thank you for the 44th. So what happened is Keanu's been anti-Mickey all week long. Vince ratted her out to Morgan. Morgan passed the info along to Mickey. Mickey has now found out that Keanu's been talking about her, and she is now anti-Keanu and wants to vote Keanu out this week. That's an important vote to lose in the Vince versus Keanu vote. Like, Will, there comes a point where giving some pushback to your allies is beneficial. You need to talk them off a cliff sometimes. Have you not learned that about Ava and Ashley? Mickey's a little like, am I talking nonsense? And Will's like, no, no. She was literally just like, and you know what? I talk about how I want Rachel and Jury all the time, and she never tells me that she wants me and Jury. Did you not just hear the entire argument she had with Morgan about getting people to Jury? Zero scenario. What does that even mean? I feel like ever since Jimmy left, Rachel has been team her. Team her with the extension of us. Nobody's going to take a shot at her. Ava's like, why? Because if you do and you miss, it's your ass. Her and what army? Us. She has us. Vinny now talking to Riley. Listing Morgan as your first vote was not a good idea, Vinny. The fact that he keeps gesturing his hands. He looks like Sam Altman talking about ChatGPT 5. Riley promising he will vote to keep Vinny. Vinny tearing up. Thank you. I love you. And we're back upstairs. Oh, Zach has been terrible on the block. Yeah, granted, he likely knows he's coming off anyway, but he's basically a goner at this point if he's up against anybody. I think the 60th. Listen, Ava just talks more sense. Not that I want them to listen to her. Catherine now talking to Lauren about being okay with Morgan going home if she's a renom. I feel like people have been talking about how people will be so mad about Zach having the power, like his allies. I really don't think that's going to be the case, to be honest. I mean, there might be some, um, some amount of trash talk about it or whatever, but I don't think it's going to be a significant change in the landscape or the structure. If anything, it might be good for him, you know? People holding power, wielding power tends to be good for them. Ava continuing to push one of Zach or Vinny should leave this week. Did I see that Unlocked episode 1 got 1.53 million views? No? Is that good? I don't even know. That sounds pretty good. I feel like that. I think it's possible Catherine pitches Ava to use the veto to get Morgan up. It's possible. That's the vibe I'm getting from this combo with Lauren. Whoa. I'm right there with you, Lauren. It scared me too. Riley wants to talk to Mickey. Oh, he's going to ask about Morgan and she's going to defend Morgan. This could get interesting. He's just asking her what the plan is with the vote. Riley pitching to Mickey. He wants Vinny to stay. So Vinny did secure Riley's vote, at least for now. This obviously doesn't make sense for Riley's game, but I don't think we can analyze Riley's game from a stance of what makes sense for him, because that's not how he plays the game. Now Morgan calling Mickey. Mickey really didn't hear Ava's advice. Riley should want Keanu to stay at all costs. Keanu is obscenely devoted to Riley for no reason. And after the people that would target Riley, like Morgan. Mickey's just continuing to go back and forth. I got man. Lauren, I think easily the nicest person in the house. I think on a personal level, it'd be great to be friends with Lauren. She talks so slow. She talks so slow. All right, I think we're slowing down here. There's a lot of talk. The Riley Catherine vote is obviously very important, but Ava's right. It's Sunday. They're gonna change their minds. Mickey's been changing her mind all day. The big thing for me, the actual important thing is, will Catherine use the veto? When Catherine has her conversation with Ava, will she pitch using the veto? Will Ava agree to it? That's what matters. And that is currently on ice. I think that I do think there's a chance. Like I said, I think the kindling is there. But that's the important bit here. So, definitely we're going to stay on top of Catherine and Riley in terms of where their vote falls for Keanu versus Vince. We nobody even knows that Morgan's on the block yet, so we can't even really look into that yet. But wild little ride here today so far. Stay tuned, and we'll see if this veto ends up getting used in any capacity. I'll be back in about an hour. We'll watch the episode. We'll have a podcast. I'll be live in the morning. So be prepared for. I already have a ton of notes. Luckily, I think I'm solo tomorrow, so we'll have some space to yeah. We'll have some space to oh, hold on. Hold on. Are they going to have the conversation now? Every time I try to leave. Ava just walked in on Catherine Lauren. I think Ava's been talked to death today. She's clearly exhausted. That may stuff down, put a damper on the kindling. Couple minutes, she said. I think she just threw some water on the kindling. I think Catherine's a little less likely to make a hard pitch to Ava after that. Come on, you're done with the conversation. You can go up and talk to Ava. Oh, you have to think strategically every day while you're playing the game? Okay, we're done. We're done with that. I'm not going to wait for them to finish their conversation. We may have to emergency come back on if the Ava Catherine conversation lights up. But interesting stuff for the day. Stay tuned for for that conversation. And then episode podcast tonight, update tomorrow. Check out the tastemakers this week. I went and saw Weapons. Grace also planned to see Weapons, so we're going to do some Weapons conversation along with some other stuff from the week, scripted stuff. And I did also, I was talking with another friend of mine who saw Weapons, one Taylor Hale, who may join us for the Tastemakers this week to talk about Weapons. So Weapons and everything else going on in the world of TV and film. So maybe tune in for some Tastemakers this week if you're interested. Should be out tomorrow. And then the book and everything like that. All right. Thank you for hanging out. I believe they are they still playing Goose Goose over there? Looks like it. I'm going to send you over to Puya if you're on Twitch here. Watch them play some Goose Goose. I think she's heading up to talk to Ava, but I listen, I gotta have a little bit of time before the episode. Maybe she's not. But we'll talk about it when the episode starts. I'll be back in just about an hour. So thanks for hanging out for now. And I'll see all of you very soon.
Dwight, I'm assuming he didn't